My child, I want to talk to you about something that's been going on inside you with the quiet but steady authority of a standard that wasn't mine to set. There is a standard that the faith community, religious culture, and sometimes your own self-critical and driven mind have put on the faith that you bring to me. This has been making you feel like you are always falling short of what the faith is supposed to look like, always failing to achieve the quality, consistency, and lack of doubt that the faith seems to require before it is real, acceptable, and actually counts kind. It sounds like this: real faith is faith that is sure of itself. There is no wavering faith in real faith. Real faith doesn't question, doubt, or struggle with the fact that it can't see what it's trusting in. Real faith is when a person is calm, sure, and emotionally stable on the inside because they have fully come to trust the other person completely and without any doubts. And anything less than that means that either my faith isn't mature enough, it isn't real enough, or it isn't sufficient in some clear way that needs to be fixed before it is brought to me as the real thing instead of a poor imitation of it. I have something very clear and direct to say about that standard and the person who has been living under its constant and clear pressure. That is not my standard. I'm not asking for perfect faith that doesn't have any doubts, questions, or real struggles inside because you can't see what your faith is trusting for. For what I'm asking, it's real faith, the unique, honest, sometimes genuinely flawed, sometimes genuinely struggling, and sometimes genuinely costly interior posture of the unique and specific person who is bringing what they actually have instead of what they think they should have, who is turning toward me with an authentic interior of the authentic moment rather than the performed version of the interior that the pressure of the standard has been forcing them to present as the only acceptable form of faith that is worth bringing. It's enough that you believe in God. Your faith must be real. I want to spend this message explaining what that means in the specific, useful, and personally relevant ways that will make the biggest difference in the life of the specific person who has been living under the specific and particular pressure of the perfect faith standard, and who has been going through the specific and damaging inner experience of someone who is always bringing to me a version of faith that isn't quite real enough or better than what the standard requires. At least 4 important things are happening inside the person who is living under the pressure of the perfect faith standard. The first thing the perfect faith standard does is make people feel like they are always spiritually inadequate. People who believe that real faith is sure, unwavering, and does not have any doubts about the outcome of the thing they are believing in, tend to see their own faith as inadequate and not good enough, as not measuring up to the real thing. This is because their faith is the specific, honest, and sometimes really struggling faith of a real person who can't see what they are believing for and who really doesn't know how it is going to turn out. And feeling like I'm always spiritually inadequate, like my faith isn't quite there yet, is one of the worst feelings I can have inside, especially for someone who really loves me and wants to bring the real faith. The second thing that the perfect faith standard does is create the specific experience of performing faith instead of the real expression of it. If someone has learned that real faith must look, feel, and act in a certain way, they are more likely to act out the faith that the standard requires than to express the faith that they really have inside. They are also more likely to change how they present their faith to fit the standard of what is acceptable faith, instead of bringing what is truly there and letting that be what is brought to the person who is truly capable of receiving, working with, and changing what is truly there. The third thing the perfect faith standard does is create a clear and harmful gap between how someone really feels about their faith and how they show it to the world. People who follow the rule that real faith shouldn't struggle or doubt tend to keep their real struggles, doubts, and questions inside, separate from how they show their faith in public, which is what the rule requires. This creates a harmful separation between the real inside and the outside. Today, the painful gap between your hidden doubts and the person you show the world ends. Right now is the exact moment when your healing goes from being a quiet hope to a strong launch. I want you to do something to help close this gap. Right now, write these exact words in the comments. My true interior belongs to God. You are not just typing a phrase when you say this. You are making a holy promise to the Almighty. This means you're telling grace that you won't keep your problems to yourself any longer. Instead, you're letting her meet you right where you are. The fourth thing the perfect faith standard does is make someone compare their real faith experience to the faith of people who seem to have reached the perfect faith standard before them, which is harmful. In the comments, type, "My flawed faith is real, and God accepts it." Let that be your declaration that you understand what I'm saying in the first part of this message, and that it applies to you personally. That is the start of letting go of the perfect faith standard, and the start of understanding the truth about what I really want when I ask for faith. If this message has helped you find your way, made you stronger, or seen your path more clearly, please like, subscribe, and share it. You can also support this ministry through the link below so that other people can get this message at the right time. If God brought you here, He brought you here on purpose. These videos cost us everything and earn us nothing. Your support is what keeps this mission alive. Every gift, every seed, God honors it. Thank you from our whole hearts. Now, there is a place God is calling you to, a real community of chosen ones, people who pray together, grow together, and carry each other. God says, don't stay on the outside. The link is below. Come home, beloved. I want to show you particular proof of what I have actually accepted as true faith throughout my whole relationship with my people. Because the best way to break down the perfect faith standard is not with an abstract argument against it, but with a specific and concrete example of faith that I have received, worked with, and respected. Think about Thomas. He asked, "Unless I see in his hands the mark of the nails, place my finger into the mark of the nails, and place my hand into his side, I will never believe." This was the clear and honest response of someone whose trust has been damaged by the worst possible outcome. What did happen? He showed up. My son came just to see Thomas. He gave them the exact, personal, and directly aimed experience with the physical proof of the resurrection that Thomas had said was needed for people to believe. Thomas had faith in the broken, honest, and flawed state, which was enough for the meeting. And Thomas said, "My Lord and my God," when the encounter led to the faith that the encounter was meant to bring about. Think about Abraham, who is called the father of the faithful, and what the specific, concrete, and carefully looked at record of his faith really looks like. When I told Abraham that Sarah would have a son, he laughed. Abraham saw Hagar as a way to do through hard work what his faith was supposed to do by trusting him to do. Pharaoh of Egypt thought Abraham was married to Sarah, but Abraham told him she was his sister. These specific flaws in the faith are written down in the record. He is also the father of those who are faithful. My idea of what was right was the specific, flawed, and sometimes genuinely compromised faith of the specific and real Abraham. Think about the disciples who were in the stormy boat. They cried out, "Lord, save us, we are going to die." Rather than, "We are troubled by this storm, but we trust completely in your provision for our safety. Yet we are perishing." The faith that was shown during the storm was the honest, scared, and imperfect faith of those who loved the person in the boat with them and were truly afraid, which made the other person in the boat feel truly afraid as well. Think about the boy's father, who was possessed. The father asked, "Lord, if you can do anything," which was an honest and public expression of doubt from someone who had seen the disciples fail. My son responded to the conditional, "All things are possible for those who believe." The father's answer was, "I believe. Help my unbelief." Not "I think," end of sentence. "I believe. Help me not believe." And my son got rid of the ghost. The phrase "I believe, help my unbelief" was enough. Enter, "God honors the faith I have, not the faith I lack," below. That should be your statement, that you specifically accept what the honest and concrete record of my relationship with my people shows about what faith really looks like, that I accept, honor, work with, and change. I want to talk about what makes faith real, because the statement that your faith doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real, is most useful when the specific qualities of real faith are named in a way that makes it easy for someone who has been practicing perfect faith to hear the genuine and real faith they have been carrying all along. To begin, the first thing that sets real faith apart is its honesty. There is a difference between real faith and faith that manages the interior to fit the standard. Real faith brings what is truly in the interior out. "Lord, if you can do anything." That's what real faith says. Faith that really works says, "I believe. Help my unbelief." My God, why have you left me?" is what real faith says. Being honest is not a sign that real faith is lacking. It is one of the most specific and unique things about it. The direction of the real faith is the second thing that makes it unique. While real faith is moving toward me instead of away from me, it is also moving toward a relationship with me instead of away from it. It is also moving toward engagement with the one who holds everything instead of away from it, even if that engagement is stuttering, imperfect, and accompanied by the honest inner experience of someone who isn't fully settled or sure. The third thing that makes real faith unique is that it costs something. Most of the time, real faith costs something. When someone comes with faith that is settled, sure, confident, and free of doubt, it tends to cost less than when someone comes with faith that is honest, struggling, and not yet fully settled. This is because someone who comes with settled and certain faith already has what their faith is asking for. When someone has real faith, it comes from somewhere inside them that doesn't have what their faith wants yet. Perseverance is the fourth unique trait of real faith that sets it apart. Really strong faith tends to keep bringing, not because the person carrying it is always sure, calm, and free of doubt, question, and genuine inner struggle, but because truly strong faith in a relationship with me makes the person carrying it choose to keep bringing even though they haven't seen yet. This choice is sometimes really hard and sometimes really expensive. The relationship between believers is the fifth thing that makes real faith unique. To have real faith, you can't just have vague confidence that the specific and particular hard situation will be solved in a good way. You have to trust the specific and particular person with whom you are interacting. In the comments, type, "True faith is honest faith, and God loves honest hearts." Let that be your statement that you have received the real and unique qualities of the real faith in a way that is specific to you. I want to talk about doubt now because it is one of the most important and often misunderstood parts of a real faith journey. The misunderstanding is that doubt is the opposite of faith, and that someone's doubts about their faith show that their faith is missing, not strong enough, or not sufficient. You can have faith and doubt at the same time. Lack of faith is not the same thing as doubt. Being completely and firmly set against the relationship with me is the opposite of faith. The person who doubts and still wants to be in a relationship with me is not someone whose faith is absent. That person's faith is specifically, genuinely, and sometimes very honestly and very costly present in the interior, along with their genuine doubt. Chosen one, you did not find this by accident. God placed you here. He knew your name before this video began, and right now, He is calling you further into a family of believers who walk this road together every single day. The link is in the description. Come and find your people. And if He is nudging you to give, that nudge is Him. Every seed you plant, He multiplies. God bless you, beloved. We are waiting. It was the psalmist who showed me doubt in clear, honest, and sometimes very raw and direct language. "How long, O Lord? Will you forget me forever? They ask me all day, 'Where is your God?' And my tears have been my food." These are not the words of someone who has turned away from their faith. These are the words of someone who is so genuinely and deeply in their faith that they are bringing their honest experience of the current hard and uncertain season into their relationship with the one they trust. The kind of doubt that comes from experiencing specific and unique suffering is probably the most common and shame-inspiring kind of doubt that someone in a real relationship with me feels. The fact that someone is struggling to feel what their faith says is really, there is not proof that they don't have faith. It's proof that they are genuinely and honestly engaging with the unique reality of their suffering from the limited view of the person who is suffering. Feel free to write, "My doubt does not disqualify my faith," below. Let that be your statement that you understand this part of the message about the connection between real faith and real doubt in the real heart of a real person who is in a real relationship with me. If you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. This is one of the most specific and powerful teachings that someone who has been living under the pressure of having perfect faith can find. Even though faith tells the mountain, "Move from here to there," it doesn't move because faith is big, sure, settled, and free of doubt. The mountain moves because the person who hears the small, honest, and sometimes flawed, but fully directed faith is the one whose power, sovereignty, and unique and personal involvement with the unique and specific situation of the unique and specific person is the real and main source of the mountain moving. The ceiling of what faith can do is not the size of the faith itself, but the character, power, and specific personal engagement of the person who receives the faith. Bloody woman pushed her way through the crowd to touch the bottom of my son's shirt. It had been 12 years of pain for her. She had given all of her money to doctors who couldn't help her. "If I touch even his clothes," she told herself, That conditional again. If. Right away the blood stopped coming out. My son told my daughter, "Your faith has made you well. Go in peace and get better." He meant the faith that told him the whole truth, the faith that was scared and shook, the faith that was real, honest, and sometimes flawed, but genuinely directed and genuinely costly. That was the faith that he said had made her well. Feel free to write, "Small faith in a great God moves mountains below." Let that be your statement of the specific and mustard seed-based understanding of what this part of the message has been talking about in terms of the link between the size of your faith and what it can do. If this message has helped you find your way, made you stronger, or seen your path more clearly, please like, subscribe, and share it. You can also support this ministry through the link below so that other people can get this message at the right time. There is a connection between faith and how you feel about your faith. I want to talk about this because mixing up faith and how you feel about your faith is one of the most damaging ways that people experience their faith as not enough. If you want to have faith, you have to choose it, not just feel it. The phrase, "Not my will, but yours be done," that my son spoke from the point of view of someone who was very sad, even to the point of death, showed the truest, most honorable faith in the whole gospel record. And it wasn't the faith of someone who was settled, sure, emotionally confident and emotionally confirmed. It was the faith of someone who made the choice while being very sad, even to the point of death. The performance of perfect faith tends to talk about faith in terms of how it makes you feel. It talks about real and mature faith as faith that feels sure, confident, settled, and that you can trust the person you are trusting in a way that is specific, emotionally resonant, and emotionally confirmed. When the feeling isn't there, the perfect faith standard tends to think that the faith itself isn't there, because the feeling isn't there. There are at least 3 times in the relationship with me when the feeling of faith is least likely to be present, when there is real and ongoing trouble, when there is constant silence, and after a painful experience with an outcome that wasn't what was hoped for. For each of these people, the way they feel about their faith is not the faith itself. Going without the faith's feeling is not the same thing as not having faith. For you, the faith that is present in your heart during the season when the feeling of faith is less available is not the lesser faith of someone who has not yet reached a settled, certain, and emotionally confirmed experience of the relationship. It is the genuine faith of someone who is choosing to trust me during the season, when the feeling of trust is less available to support that choice. Feel free to write, "My faith is not a feeling, it is a choosing," below. Therefore, let that be your statement of the clear and important difference between faith and the feeling of faith. Now I want to talk about weakness, because one of the most specific and often wrongly portrayed parts of a real faith journey is weakness and the faith that comes from it. "My grace is sufficient for you," I told Paul, "for my power is made perfect in weakness." The power is made perfect in the weakness, not because of the weakness or even because of it. It is made perfect in the weakness. And Paul's response to this statement was clear and impressive. "That's why I'll boast even more about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest on me. For the sake of Christ, then, I'm okay with insults, hardships, persecutions, and disasters. For when I am weak, then I am strong. When you are weak, then you are strong," goes against the idea that a person's faith and strength must be strong. before my power can be expressed through their unique life and circumstances. To be clear, the weakness is not what stops the strength from working. Rather, it is the exact situation in which the strength shines brightest. When you are weak in the specific and honest knowledge of your weakness in the specific and genuine moment that is hard, uncertain, and really needs more than you have, then you are strong in the clear and specific expression of my power through the imperfect, genuine, and sometimes struggling faith that you bring from the position of your genuine weakness. Enter, he meets me in my weakness as well as my strength. Below. That should be your statement, that you understand this part of the message about the connection between the weak person and the powerful person who works through the weak person. Let's talk about what I do with real and flawed faith when I receive it. Of all the examples, the most specific and concrete is the feeding of the 5,000, which my son did from the very specific and shockingly inadequate start of 5 loaves and 2 fish. The disciples brought what they had with them. They couldn't deny that what they had wasn't enough to meet the specific and huge need, and what was brought was given to my son. After giving thanks to God, he took the 5 loaves and 2 fish and broke them into pieces. He then gave them to his disciples to serve to the crowd. Then they all ate and were full. There were 12 baskets full of broken pieces left over. Before they were brought to my son, the 5 loaves and 2 fish weren't enough to feed the 5,000 people. When they were brought to my son, they were enough to feed the 5,000 people, plus the 12 baskets of broken pieces that were left over. My son then worked with them. Weak and real faith are like the 5 loaves and 2 fish. Bringing the imperfect and real faith to the person who works with it is the specific and necessary step that turns the honest inadequacy of the imperfect and real faith into the clear and obvious sufficiency for what the person needs in this very difficult time. The faith I'm building in the real relationship with me isn't mainly coming from learning about what mature, complete, and perfect faith looks like in a general sense. It's coming from specific, repeated, and sometimes very expensive encounters between that person's imperfect but real faith and the person who receives and works with what is brought. You can write, I bring what I have, and he makes it enough, below. In this part of the message, it talks about what I should do with my imperfect but real faith when I receive it. Let that be your statement of the specific and 5 loaves and 2 fish grounded receiving. What do I want to talk about when someone stops acting with perfect faith and starts acting with real faith? One of the first specific things that happens is relief. This is the specific and significant relief of someone who has been managing, performing, and carefully presenting the interior in the way that the standard requires. Now that the managing is over and the real bringing has begun, that person can experience the interior without the specific and particular weight of managing and performing. The meeting with what is really inside is the second specific thing that happens. People who practice perfect faith tend to keep their true selves at a certain controlled distance from their awareness while they do it. Being able to bring real faith requires and allows paying close attention to what is really going on inside a real person in a real moment. The third specific thing that happens is that the relationship gets stronger. One relationship that lasts while performing the perfect faith is one that stays strong at the specific and controlled distance of the performance. By bringing real faith, you can keep a relationship going. This kind of relationship is based on the genuine encounter between the genuine interior and the person who genuinely receives what the genuine interior brings. The fourth clear thing that happens is the clear and real taking in of what the clear bringing makes available. The person who has perfect faith is usually in a managed relationship with me that keeps them in the position of performing rather than receiving. The person who is truly bringing faith is usually in the same exact and real place as the person who is truly receiving faith. You can write, "I won't wait until my faith is perfect to come to God," below. That should be your declaration that you have made the freeing choice to stop acting with perfect faith and start acting with real faith. Now I want to talk about the community, because faith was never meant to be something that you do by yourself, which is what the perfect faith standard makes it. The most specific and immediately useful resource that a real community offers is holding on to faith when a person's faith is temporarily too weak to do so on their own. Take the 4 friends of the paralyzed man who carried him to the house where my son was teaching. Because the front door was blocked by a crowd, they climbed to the roof, dug through the roof, and lowered the paralyzed man on his bed through the roof into the room where my son was teaching. And my son saw their faith, not just the faith of the man who was paralyzed, but the faith of all 5 of them together. The faith was held by the community when one person's faith might not have been enough. The first clear way the community shows its faith is through regular group prayer. The second specific way the community holds on to its faith is through the shared testimony of those who have been through the most real times of faith weakness. The third specific way the community holds the faith is by being there together during the real times of the worst, most isolating and most damaging experiences of each person's fundamental weakness in faith. Feel free to write, "I come to him as I am, not as I should be," below. That should be your statement of how specifically, community-based, and personally honest you understand what this part of the message has been saying about the communal aspect of a real faith journey. If this message has helped you find your way, made you stronger, or seen your path more clearly, please like, subscribe, and share it. You can also support this ministry through the link below so that other people can get this message at the right time. What I want to talk about is the specific and valuable things that an imperfect faith journey does to the person who is carrying an imperfect but real faith through a truly hard, truly uncertain, and truly costly season. The imperfect faith journey is not only a less than perfect recreation of the perfect faith journey, it is also the formation that makes specific and truly valuable things happen inside of a specific and genuine person. The first specific and truly valuable thing that the imperfect faith journey gives me is the knowledge of my faithfulness that I can't get from a faith journey that is easy, comfortable, and never really pushed me. In the real times of greatest difficulty and uncertainty, the person who has brought the imperfect and real faith through those times has found that the person who receives and works with that faith was genuinely there and genuinely involved. This person has a specific, experiential, and directly personal knowledge of my faithfulness that someone who has not been through those specific and genuine seasons cannot have in the same way. The second specific and truly valuable thing that an imperfect faith journey gives you is genuine compassion for other people whose faith is imperfect and struggling. This is something that someone who has never been through seasons of the most genuine difficulty with an imperfect faith cannot have in the same way. The third specific and truly valuable thing that the imperfect faith journey creates is the specific and lasting quality of trust that has been tested and survived the testing. Trust that has been in the real and sometimes very real and demanding seasons, and that is found in knowing that the person being trusted was genuinely there, genuinely engaged, and genuinely working. The fourth specific and truly valuable thing that an imperfect faith journey creates is genuine humility in the person who knows from experience that the results of the real relationship with me and the specific and particular life are not mainly the result of the person having enough strength and faith, but of the person being able to receive and work with what is truly inadequate and imperfect. The fifth specific and genuinely valuable thing that the imperfect faith journey brings about is a genuine and close relationship between me and the person who has been in a genuine and honest, and sometimes very raw and very direct, encounter between imperfect and real faith. This relationship tends to grow over the course of those genuine and honest, and sometimes very raw and very direct encounters. Feel free to write, "My faith is small, but my God is great," below. Make that your statement about how specifically and personally you have understood what this part of the message has been saying about the specifically and truly valuable things that the imperfect faith journey leads to. In this talk, I want to talk about prayer in the context of real and imperfect faith. When you have perfect faith, you tend to pray in a way that is managed, shaped, and carefully worded in a way that is specific and particular to the person you are talking to. When someone prays, they often hold back their real sadness, anger, confusion, or, "I believe, help my unbelief," so that they can confidently, calmly, and faithfully bring their specific need to the person they are trusting with it. Since faith isn't perfect, real faith usually leads to prayer that is honest, specific, and sometimes very raw and direct in the way that the real interior of the real person in the real moment, most honestly and most genuinely leads to prayer. One of the best ways to see and hear what a real, flawed, and genuine Christian praying sounds and looks like is to look at the Psalms and read passages like, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long are you going to hide your face?" This is the prayer of the real, flawed, and authentic faith of someone who is going through the real, authentic, and painful difficulty. It is the prayer that doesn't pretend to present something different. Instead, it brings what is truly in the truly interior directly to the person who receives it. The psalm that starts with "How long" and "hiding of the face" ends with trust and praise. "But I have put my faith in your unchanging love. My heart will rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, because he had been good to me." The beginning and the end are both in the same psalm. "How long" and "I have trusted in your steadfast love" are both parts of the same prayer from the same person in the same relationship with the person who hears both parts as the honest and real expression of that relationship. Family, we pour everything into these videos, not for algorithm, not for income, for God and for you. It is your love, your prayers, your seeds of generosity that keep this mission alive. If this prayer moved you today, come and be part of what God is building here. The link is in the description. Join us. And if he leads you to give, know this: even the smallest seed carries the weight of a great harvest in his hands. Thank you. God bless every one of you. The prayer of honest lament, bringing the specific and particular grief, pain, and loss to the person who is truly receiving it, is the most direct and deeply moving form of prayer for people whose faith is real, imperfect and genuine during the specific and genuine times of the most genuine grief, pain, and loss. When you really need something, the prayer of honest petition is the most direct and real way to get it. For the specific and genuine times of the most genuine gratitude and the most genuine encounter with the specific and genuine faithfulness and goodness of the person who receives what is genuinely brought, the prayer of honest praise is the most direct and fully engaging form. In the comments, write, "God hears my honest prayers, not my perfect ones." That should be your statement that you understand and find useful what this part of the message is saying about the specific, real, imperfect, and genuine prayer of a real faith. I'd like to talk about what I see when I look at you with a real, flawed, and honest faith that you bring. I see the genuine, imperfect, and real relationship between the specific person and I, based on genuine, imperfect, and real faith. I see the genuine, sometimes very expensive, sometimes very effortful, and sometimes very clearly against the current interior experience, choosing to turn toward me rather than away from me in the specific and particular difficult, uncertain, and genuinely not yet visible moment. I can see the way that leads to me. I can also see the love, the real, honest, and sometimes very battered, very wounded, very pressed, and very specific love of the one person who has loved me and continues to love me during the times when loving and being in a relationship is truly costly and most truly difficult. I also see the history, the exact history of that person's real, flawed, and imperfect relationship with me. The whole history that includes both the happy and calm times and the really hard, flawed, and expensive times. The standard for perfect faith looks at faith through the lens of how well it performs certain interior qualities that are needed. I also have a very different view of faith that is real, imperfect, and true. It's only through the genuine interior of the genuine person who is in a genuine, imperfect, and real relationship with me that I can see faith that is truly real. It's only through the genuine direction of the choosing toward me instead of away from me that I can see love that continues to turn toward me in the genuine seasons when the turning is most truly costly. It's only through the genuine history of the genuine, imperfect, and real relationship that I can see faith that is truly real. When I look at the real, flawed, and honest faith that you are giving me, I don't see the same thing that you do. What I see is the path, the love, and the history of the real, flawed, and authentic relationship between me and that real, unique, and authentic person. And what I see in the direction, the love, and the history is the real, flawed, and honest faith of the real, unique, and honest person who has been in a real, flawed, and honest relationship with me for the whole history. Feel free to write, "He sees my heart, not just my performance," below. That should be your statement that you understand this part of the message about what I see in the specific person who is in a real, imperfect, and genuine relationship with me. In this message, I want to show you what real, flawed, and honest faith looks like when it is consistently and honestly brought to someone who accepts it and works with it. The first thing that usually happens is that the trust grows stronger. When you consistently and genuinely bring something to someone, they will trust you, and that trust will grow roots that get deeper over time. A second thing that usually happens is that what the faith is really based on becomes more clear over time. Finally, the third thing that tends to happen is that our real, personal, and deeply knowing relationship grows over time. This fourth thing that tends to happen is the specific and slow growth of my ability to recognize my voice and my working in the parts of life and the situation that are hardest to get to from the inside. The fifth thing that tends to happen is the specific and slow growth of the real and personal testimony that the consistent and real bringing tends to bring about. In the comments, write, "My flawed faith is growing into something lovely." This part of the message has been talking about what real, flawed, and genuine faith becomes when it is consistently and genuinely brought. Let that be your statement of how you understand and relate to what it means for you. It is the authority of my word that I want to use to talk about the difference between real and imperfect faith. Come to me, all you who work hard and carry heavy loads, I told them through my Son. I will give you rest. The call is for everyone who works hard and carries a lot. As James wrote, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let them ask God, who gives freely to all without finding fault, and it will be given to them." It is the phrase, "without reproach," that is most appropriate for the person who has been going to the bringing expecting to be criticized. In the same way, the Spirit helps us when we are weak. I said through the Apostle Paul, we don't know what to pray for, but the Spirit himself prays for us with groans that are too deep for words. Genuine, imperfect, real faith can't do everything on its own. The Spirit makes it possible. I spoke to the boy's father through my Son, and the healing happened. The words, "I believe, help my unbelief," were enough, and I told my son, "If you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." There is enough mustard seed for "nothing will be impossible." Feel free to write, "I choose faith today," even with all my questions below. That should be your statement of the specific, Bible-based choice of the real, flawed, and genuine faith. If this message has helped you find your way, made you stronger, or seen your path more clearly, please like, subscribe, and share it. You can also support this ministry through the link below so that other people can get this message at the right time. I want to talk about the specific things that real, flawed, authentic faith makes possible in the life of a specific person, that perfect faith was actually stopping them from doing. The first specific and real thing that genuine and imperfect and real faith makes possible is a genuine connection with other people who are on the same genuine and imperfect and real faith journey. This is something that perfect faith actually stopped people from doing. People who practice perfect faith tend to keep their distance from those who are on the real, flawed, and authentic faith journey. The real, flawed, and authentic faith is what brings one traveler to another traveler. The second specific thing that only real, flawed, and honest faith allows that perfect faith was actually stopping is the real and honest ministry to people who are in the worst possible time of their own faith weakness. People who are really weak are usually the ones who can't be reached by the performance of perfect faith the least. Real, flawed, and authentic faith tends to reach people most directly and authentically when they are going through the same exact and authentic season. According to the third specific thing that real, imperfect, and genuine faith allows that performance faith did not, it is the genuine engagement with specific and particular people who are not part of the faith community but are watching it from the outside and asking specific and honest and sometimes very direct questions about whether the faith being shown is the real thing or just a performance of the real thing. People who are watching from the outside are more likely to be moved by genuine, flawed, and real faith than by performance. This is because performance doesn't always move people. People who are quietly drowning in performance will be able to find freedom through your raw honesty. Now is the time when your honest journey turns into a living ministry engine. I want you to take this divine role with confidence and say that you are ready to be used as you are. Right now, type in the comments, "My raw truth will break chains." Be sure to say it. By making this statement, you are telling heaven that you don't want to live a fake life and that you are ready to be a part of a real, groundbreaking movement of grace. Don't leave me until the very end. We're going to end with a strong prayer of activation that will seal this freedom. Before you close this, I want you to know something. On the other side of that link in the description, there are people who have been praying for someone like you to arrive. A community of chosen ones, God lovers, people who carry each other, people who do not give up. Come and find your place among them. And if something inside you says give, honor that. That voice is God. Your support makes this mission possible, and He will not forget what you do in faith. As I said before, the fourth specific and real thing that genuine and imperfect and real faith makes possible that the performance of perfect faith actually stopped was the genuine and honest encounter with me, that the genuine and imperfect and real faith makes possible in a way that the performance of perfect faith tends to stop by keeping the person in the performing position. In the comments type, "My real faith opens doors my performance could never close." That should be your statement about how you truly and paradoxically understand what this part of the message is saying about the specific things that real, flawed, authentic faith makes possible. And now I want to talk directly about the specific lies of the perfect faith standard that have been stopping that one person from bringing the real, flawed, and honest faith to the person who can receive it and work with it. To the lie that says faith has to be free of doubt before it can be real faith, I say that the father of the possessed boy's "I believe, help my unbelief" was real faith that healed him. It was doubt in the real faith that caused the healing to happen. Tell the lie that says my faith has to feel sure, secure, and confident before it is real faith that I receive, that I say that faith is not mainly a feeling. Faith is mainly a choice. Not my will, but yours be done. Of the very sad, even to death, person inside was the most real, specific, and honored faith in the whole of the gospel record. To the lie that says faith has to be big, strong, and perfect for the specific need before it can do what faith alone can do, I say that the mustard seed, which is the tiniest of all the seeds, is enough to move the mountain. This is not because of the size of the seed, but because of the character and power of the person who the mustard seed faith is directed at. That lie that says the presentation of faith has to be managed for it to be the presentation that I receive is false. I say that the woman with the bleeding wound told him the truth and heard, "You are healed. Go in peace." My son said that the faith that had made her well was the kind of faith that wasn't planned, wasn't performed, and was sometimes very raw and honest in a real and desperate moment. To the lie that says my power can't be shown because faith is weak, I say that my power is made perfect in weakness. When you are weak, you are strong. I disagree with the lie that says the real, imperfect faith of a genuine, specific and particular person is a poor imitation of perfect faith. There are many witnesses who say this is not true. Each specific and unique person in the group of witnesses was praised for their honest, flawed, and real faith in the honest, flawed, and real person who was in an honest, flawed, and real relationship with me. People like you who have been living under the pressure of having perfect faith, I want to tell you that your faith doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. Bring what's real. I get what's real. I work with real things. I respect what is real. Enter. Every lie about my faith falls before his truth below. In that case, you should say that the specific truth is addressing the specific and particular lies of the true faith standard. I want to take you to a real moment where you can experience real, flawed faith right now. Instead of focusing on what the perfect faith standard says, I want you to pay attention to what is really inside the real person you are right now. What is really there? There is real doubt along with real belief, real fear along with real trust, and real I believe. Help my unbelief. Pay attention to what is really there. Now bring what you really saw to the person who needs it. Not the polished and controlled version, but the real, honest, and sometimes very raw and direct version of what is really inside the real you at this exact moment. Now listen to what I have to say in response to the genuine and honest bringing. I receive this, not unwillingly, and not with the specific and particular judgment that what is being brought is not sufficient according to the standard of adequate faith, but with the specific and genuine and personally invested receiving of someone who has been waiting for the genuine and honest bringing. I get this. I welcome you into the real, specific, and particular moment where things are genuine, honest, sometimes very raw, very direct, sometimes very hard and very honest. I see you, not the staged and controlled version of yourself, but the real, honest, sometimes very raw, direct, and sometimes very struggling you. I see that you, and that seeing is the personal and true seeing of someone who knows the real, specific, and unique person from the inside out, and who receives the real and honest inside of the real, specific, and unique person in the real and honest form that it truly is in, with the full, specific, and personally aimed love of someone who has been waiting for the real and honest bringing. In the comments, type, "Right now, I bring my real faith to God." That should be your statement about how you want to bring out the real and honest inside of the real, specific, and unique person you are right now. I'm going to pray for you now. I address the perfect faith standard that has been working in your heart with the authority of a standard that I am supposed to have set, and I say that it is no longer valid. The standard I have set is the real, flawed, and honest faith of the real, unique, and honest person who is in a real, flawed, and honest relationship with me. I say that the genuine faith standard has taken the place of the perfect faith standard. If God brought you here, He brought you here on purpose. These videos cost us everything and earn us nothing. Your support is what keeps this mission alive. Every gift, every seed, God honors it. Thank you from our whole hearts. Now, there is a place God is calling you to, a real community of chosen ones. People who pray together, grow together, and carry each other. God says, don't stay on the outside. The link is below. Come home, beloved. I'm talking about the specific doubt that you have in your specific interior, and I say that it doesn't make your real, imperfect, real faith invalid. The doubt and belief exist side by side in the interior of the genuine, specific, and particular person. This coexistence is not a sign of weak faith. It is the honest and specific interior experience of the genuine, specific, and particular person who is in a genuine, imperfect, and real relationship with me. My voice goes over the specific weakness that exists in your specific interior, and I say that it will not stop my power from expressing itself through your specific life. When I'm weak, my strength shines through. I speak over the weakness and declare it to be the perfect and clearest way for my power to show itself in the life and situation of that one person. I speak over the specific and particular fear that is in your specific and particular heart, and I say that it is not proof that you don't have real faith. The real, flawed, and honest faith that keeps turning toward me and going, running, and telling even though they are scared, is the real, specific, and honest faith that I receive, work with, and honor. The exact phrase, "I believe, help my unbelief," that is inside you is what I'm talking about, and I declare it to be an authentic part of your real, flawed, authentic faith. Father of the possessed boys, I believe, help my unbelief, was the real, specific, and genuine faith that healed the boy. The real faith is the "I believe, help my unbelief" that is in your heart at that very moment. As I talk about the specific and particular history of the genuine, imperfect, and real relationship between the specific and particular person and me, I declare it to be the specific and particular proof of the genuine, imperfect, and real faith of the specific and particular person who has been in the genuine, imperfect, and real relationship with me for a long time. That being said, let me say one last time the most important thing about this whole message. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. You have been showing your real, honest, sometimes very raw, very direct, and sometimes very struggling and very honest faith in the real, specific, and particular form that the real, specific, and particular person you are, at this real, specific, and particular moment, is actually in. This is the real deal. It is faith that I get. The faith is what I work with. I respect the faith. In the comments type, "Lord, accept my flawed faith and make it enough." Let that be your statement that you are open to receiving this prayer, personal, direct, and specific trust in the person who receives real flawed faith. Finally, our time together is over, and I'd like to send you on your way into the daily, specific, and sometimes really expensive practice of bringing real, imperfect, and genuine faith to the person who receives it and works with it. One last time, I want to say the main point of this message directly and personally. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. I believe in the specific, genuine, honest, sometimes very raw, very direct, and sometimes very struggling faith that comes from being the genuine person you are in this genuine, specific, and particular moment. This is the faith I receive, work with, and honor. Once the person who put down the weight of the performance has let go, you can move forward. From here on out, keep practicing the honest bringing. From here on out, move forward with the belief that the person who accepts the real, flawed, and genuine faith will work with what is truly brought. Starting from this point on, you are free to tell the truth about your real, flawed, and honest faith journey to the specific people in the specific relationship setting of the specific person who has read these words. And know this: the person who receives the genuine, imperfect, and real faith of a genuine, specific, and particular person is not the unwilling receiver of the inadequate approximation of the adequate faith. He is the eager, specific, and personally invested receiver of the genuine, honest, sometimes very raw, very direct, and sometimes very struggling faith of the genuine, specific, and particular person who is in a genuine, imperfect, and real relationship with me. Jesus is the one who came to the locked room just for Thomas, to find the disciples who had left, and to meet Elijah under the juniper tree with bread and sleep instead of rebuke. He is also the one who called the 12-year-old girl's faith in pressing through the crowd, touching the hem, and telling the whole truth as the faith that had made her well. He is the one who cast out the demon when the Father prayed, "I believe. Help my unbelief." And finally, Jesus is the one who moves mountains with the faith of a mustard seed. It's enough that you believe in God. Your faith must be real. Bring it. It's given to Him. The last thing you need to say is, "My faith is real," and that is enough for God, in the comments. Let that be the statement you carry with you from this meeting into the real days, the real hours, and the real giving of real, flawed, and genuine faith to the person who receives what is truly given. If this message has helped you find your way, made you stronger, or seen your path more clearly, please like, subscribe, and share it. You can also support this ministry through the link below so that other people can get this message at the right time.